Cool. Well, I'm really excited to be joined by David Rapalski today. David joined the Alpha Lead Academy about a month ago, and pretty quickly, after just a couple of days of working with us, he got himself 3 clients, if I'm not mistaken. But David, you will tell us all about that. So can we maybe start by you telling us what you do, what kind of business you are running, who you're helping,
Sure.
and to do what?
So I run my own consultancy firm, marketing consultancy firm, specifically targeted at lawyers. And the lawyers I look at are either sole practitioners, but more likely I work with small law firms or boutiques that are basically, let's say, between 10 and 20 people, maybe a little bit more sometimes. But this is my target demographic, let's say.
Awesome. And you have quite a bit of background in law firms yourself. Can you talk a little bit about that? And what was your specialty when you were working at the law firm?
Yeah, basically I worked in, let's say, a major international law firm in Central and Eastern Europe and Southeastern Europe as well. They have 13 offices in different countries. And my background is doing business development and marketing for them at their Warsaw office. But because it's a networked law firm, I basically have a little bit of touch in all countries because just the nature of the way that the network law firms work. They have projects that are kind of spanning several jurisdictions, so you get to work with business development people and lawyers in other countries as well. So this is my background, and I worked at this law firm for almost 4 years. I started as just a proofreader there, and quickly, let's say, like, moved up the ladder because I wanted to do more, and they saw that I was capable of doing more. And the more stuff that I asked to do, the more they gave me, and it just worked out like this.
Awesome. Good stuff. So when we met, what were you planning to do? What were you trying to do and couldn't quite figure out?
Okay, so when we first met, I was working on a specific project. Basically, for law firms, there's something like yellow pages where if you are in another country, let's say you're in the UK and you want to open a business in Poland and you need to hire 10 people to run your business. So you're going to need things like employment contracts. You're going to need someone to create the company for you, to do all the paperwork. And so what you could do is, if you didn't know anybody in Poland, any lawyers, you could basically go to these yellow pages, and it's a listing, a ranking, and you could see which law firms are the best. And you can kind of use this as like a plan of who to start contacting, who's the best on the market at what your specific need is. So what I do is I help the law firms with this entire process, because there's a process of submitting and positioning yourself to get listed in such let's say it's called a legal directory, but like yellow pages. So the product I was selling is this. It's consulting or advisory services to potentially get ranked in these listings. And when we met, I had some success. I had one client from a referral, and I had like a bunch of people who I had already been talking to. Like, I had a list of let's say key targets that I had been talking to, but I was like feeling stuck. Like, I think what we talked about was I wasn't like qualifying them well. And basically I was getting to the point where they would be like, yeah, we're interested in cooperating with you or buying your product. But then they'd be like, get back to me in like a week, or, it was just always, I couldn't close the deal. So that was a problem that I needed to overcome. And I guess by working together, it turned out quite successful for me, because I think, part of the problem was let's say my foundational work of like kind of how I organize my work and how I prioritize things. And then just some of the bits and pieces to get to convert this lead into an actual sale. So.
So what kind of foundational work did we work on that helped you?
For sure, the resources that were available on your academy's website that were super useful for me were the block planner, like to block out your time. So there's the sheet that's, you just break down your day in 30-minute sessions. And for me, I think you also wrote a tip on there that you should just like set a timer on your phone And this was like huge for me because when I can focus on something, like you're like get in the zone and you start doing it. But at the same time, for me at least, when I start procrastinating, then I just start procrastinating. So when I could like visualize like 30-minute blocks and I set it in my phone and knew like, okay, I'm just gonna blast through 30 minutes. But then you start going and you're like, okay, 30 minutes, 1 hour, an hour and a half, and it just organizes my day much better, and I kind of know what I need to do. Um, yeah, this was one of the foundational things. And then I would say the other things that were really, really powerful was just things like the scripts, how to proceed on calls, how to troubleshoot them, things that people were talking about, because I felt like I was very good already at building rapport with people and connecting with people, but obviously like my problem was with qualifying people, or like I said, to get them to actually convert them to a sale. And I feel like just even looking at the scripts or just like learning how to organize myself on a call was very useful for me. This is what I would say is like foundational stuff.
Okay, good, excellent. So tell us about the results. So what we worked together effectively, and within 2 weeks, I believe, it was, I think
Yeah.
within 10 days, you had your first few clients closed, right?
Yeah, I think it was very quick. I think with when we started working together, it was even like within a week. I think
Yeah.
I had my first close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just, we came up, I don't know how much detail you want me to go into, but we
Go
came up
into
with
it.
we came up for you proposed to me like a very specific strategy. And the first thing we did was kind of get my house in order in terms of all my marketing materials, to clean up my LinkedIn profile to make it much more appealing and targeted towards the audience that I was going for. And then you just laid out for me like, okay, you need to like start building your connections, do this number of connections every day, send out some messages, send out different messages, start building rapport with people. And I think this was really valuable for me too, because while I was already doing these things, and like I said, I felt like I had a good sense of rapport building, just the volume that I was doing was so poor that I think that's why, basically I was able to get some sales so fast, because my product is good and my skills of explaining it to people is good, and they basically know that it's valuable for them. Um, but I just need to like, throw the bait out into the water to get some bites back. And I think that's basically what it came down to.
Yeah.
I don't know how many on hand. I don't have my power tracker open. The power tracker, I'll just explain for people, is basically a call sheet, where you keep track of everything, which is also very useful. Um, and I don't know, I made a lot of connections, like easily over 100 in a few days. So I think it was a pretty good conversion rate, and I got 3 clients out of 100 connections on LinkedIn. So
Yeah, and that's amazing. And were these 3 clients, they were all from outbound, or they also come from inbound?
no, I had one inbound
Mhm.
and the others were outbound.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I will say that one of the clients that I got was somebody who I had already been talking to before we started cooperating.
Mhm.
But I think basically using some of the techniques that I learned in the academy, I was basically where they were one of the people who was like waffling a little bit about whether they wanted to buy or not. Probably using some of the techniques that I learned in the academy, I was able to actually convert them into a sale, and they've they become a good client, and I think we will cooperate in the future. The same for my inbound sale. He's very interested in continuing some different marketing cooperation. So it's
Okay.
looking very good for, let's say, September.
Awesome. So you're going to upsell them. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I think so. So,
That's great. That's
yeah.
great. Excellent. Good stuff. So last question, if you had anyone who is kind of on the fence whether they should work with me or not, what would you tell them?
I would say I think, because it's funny, because you said the same thing to me. Like, you said like, okay, just it's an investment, like invest some money and you will see a return on your investment. And of course I was like, okay, let's see if it actually happens. And it actually paid off. I mean, my return on investment was quite significant. And I would probably say to the same person, like, uh, look, I mean, this guy, he really knows what he's talking about. He has experience, and his let's say his classroom is organized in like a very, it's like a very succinct way to organize the information. It's easily accessible. the content, you can watch it whenever you want, basically, and consume how many hours you want at a time. I would, definitely, I would give you 10 thumbs up.
10 thumbs up. Oh my God. That's awesome. Well, thank you very much. And I mean, honestly, like you did the work, and really kudos and credit to you, because after all, this stuff is not easy, especially if you don't have much experience with it. And so going out there and getting yourself rejected 97 times to get 3 sales is daunting, right? And you just did what I suggested you to do, and the success speaks for itself. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think people should know that if they want to join your program, they should be ready to put in the work. Of course, you can't. This is something you can't come in and kind of like, do half on. You really, they really need to follow your advice like to the letter, and even try to go the extra mile, because like this is the only way that people will really see results. I think like anything in life.
Yeah. Sorry, one last thing, and I find that always very interesting. Did you find that you simply like adapted my method, or sorry, that you adopted my method, or did you also somehow tweak it to suit your particular area? Or could you just simply go with what I gave you, what I told you?
No, I had to tweak it a little bit. I mean, without getting too technical, I changed some things like how the calls would go, but it's something that you also suggest in your program, that in fact, like, you shouldn't follow this script, to the letter. You need to like change it a little bit based on what you're feeling from the prospect. And just knowing the way that lawyers work a little bit, I knew that I could, shorten the calls with them. And in some situations, even instead of moving on to a second 60-minute call, I could just sell them right there and then, because I knew that, like I said, I knew that my product was good, and I knew that they were interested in it. So it was just about maybe like pushing them a little bit over the edge.
Exactly. And I think that is so important. And I need to emphasize this more, but I'm glad that you actually mentioned that your success really depends on simply taking what I suggest to you, but then building on top of it. It will never be enough if you only execute. I mean, you'll still get clients, but ultimately it feels to me that you are now really well equipped to just go out there on your own and do your own thing. And that is ultimately my goal. I want you to be as independent as possible. And I think you really are exemplifying that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I like I said, it really, the course that, the materials and for you to be available to answer questions from me, basically like on the fly, and to be available to get on the phone with me. It was great. And like I said, it was like all the little pieces that I was missing. Like I had the big picture, but I couldn't see like the little trees in the forest. And like you helped me to kind of set that up for me. So
awesome, man. Really glad.
Take it forward.
Good stuff.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. And I'll be happy to recommend you when I'm sure that I will encounter people in the market who need such specialization, and I can't provide it. So I'll be sure to recommend you.
Anytime, my friend. Would love to.
Thanks. Thanks.